Welcome to the PDFA application. My name is Yash Patel.
I'm Darshan Patel.
I'm Ryan Henderson.
And I'm Ryan LaBeouf.
So our app is built to be used by the company Traffic Group. We're essentially trying to aid their workflow. For the clients, they compile data and analyze the use of streets, parking lots through field technicians who perform studies at these areas. The study can come in two different forms. They specified they wanted an occupancy study or a duration study. The type of study determines the metrics used and the data gathered. For an occupancy study, the technician will go around every certain amount of minutes and record whether a spot is available or not. Whereas a duration study, the technician will go around every certain amount of minutes and record if a spot is empty, newly occupied, or if it's occupied by the same vehicle it was a certain amount of time ago. Our application is going to improve the workflow because currently data is gathered using physical spreadsheets. It's going to be really helpful and help them, lessen the amount of work in preparing these studies, make it much easier for the technicians to record data.
Okay, so for the technology side of our app, we decided to develop it using Android Studio. We decided to host our database using Firebase Database. And for the testing technology, we decided to use JUnit and Espresso. As far as Android Studio goes, our app was meant to be on tablets, and some of the features that we used that are specific to Android Studio in the Java library required that the Android device is running on an operating system that's at least Oreo or greater or above. For the Firebase database, this was a NoSQL database, and that meant that we had to implement and create a lot of the data validation and data input and retrieving ourselves. We couldn't just use SQL statements for that. So that was one of the harder points for developing the app, as well as just getting accustomed to how Android Studio defines layout in its XML files. And then for JUnit and Espresso, there were some quirks when you were um, developing behavioral tests, just because, say, for instance, you wanted to have the test enter some text. Well, in order to get out of that text box, you had to first hit a back button. And so it took a while to figure a lot of this stuff out, especially for some of these testing technologies and Firebase technologies.
Or by pressing the button change theme, it's going to change to the dark theme. And it's going to change the background color and the text color, so it's more visible when the background is darker.
So on the home page here, we do have an option to do a study. So we'll click on that. We will have to enter our email and password, which is in our database. All users will have to authenticate themselves before they can enter and complete a study. So we have two options. We can either do a new study or resume a study. So first we're going to look through the do a new study option. Here we can see that we're led to a new page where we can either select an occupancy study or a duration study. Let's go with the occupancy. Here we can select a site that we have listed. Let's go with grandmother's house. You have a start time and we have an end time. Here you can notice that if you select a end time that is earlier than the start time, it will give an error, which should. Then we have collection interval, so you can see the amount of times every time we're collecting the data, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Let's go with 30. And we must give the study a name, so we're going to go with final demo study. And then we can click next, which will take us to the occupancy page, which I'll let Ryan talk about.
So with our occupancy page, the only data that we care about, we don't care about license plate numbers or anything like that. All that we care about is if a specific spot was occupied at a certain time interval. So to demonstrate this, let's go ahead and have a couple spots at 6 a.m., a couple spots at 9 a.m., and a couple spots at 11. And say that we need to save our data and come back to it. what we can do, instead of sending out the email to kind of finalize the study, we can hit finish, and that will log us out and do all of that good stuff. And once we go back in later, we can log in again, click on resume study, and find our final demo study that we were working on, and the data is saved in there.
Alright, so when you press send email, it's gonna take the data.csv file, which saves everything from your studies locally, not on the Firebase. It saves it locally just in case. And when you're done, you can just send the email of the file to anyone you want. And that's gonna send the email.
Now we can do a duration study. So if we click on do a study and log in with our credentials. Click on do a new study. Instead of occupancy, we will click on duration. Click on the site, start time and the end time. This is the same collection interval, and change the study name. Click next, and we can here enter, instead of clicking on the field, we will have to enter the license plate number for each different spot, or any specific time interval we want. Here you can see the fields will be empty for all of the license plate numbers that we do not enter to indicate a empty parking spot. And that is the duration study.
Okay, so now we are going to demonstrate how an admin user might use this app. So first, they would go to this admin login button, and the email we've been using is the only admin user. It can also do other stuff in the app, but we've just been using it. Yeah, so but any other user could not be able to log into the admin side. So here you can see you can do some administrative actions such as creating a site, deleting a site, which will also delete any study data associated with that site. You can update a site. This would only update the address of the site, but you can still do that if you need to. And then you can delete a study at a specific site. So to start, you would use this site dropdown to choose the site that you want to delete, update, or delete a study at. But first, let's create a new site. So here you would first, you're going to, whatever the parking lot looks like, you're going to enter the number of sections in that parking lot. And the max is 10. So let's do 5. Now you will enter the name of the site, which could be anything. Yep. And then the address. And then, since we specified that there were 5 sections, we'll want to list the number of spots in each of those sections, and the max is 30 at the moment. And let's make the last one a different number than 5, just to demonstrate that, yep. Great. All right. And we will show later that we can access this site, but for now, let's go ahead and choose a different site to delete. Yeah, let's choose another site at the bottom, and we'll delete that one. So if we hit that, now if we look at the drop down again, we'll notice that it's gone. It was successfully deleted from the database. And then we could update a site if we wanted to. So we can currently see the current address of this site, which is 100 Cool Kids Avenue. And if we wanted to enter a new one, we could do that. And then we just hit update. And then if we were to hit update site again, you'll see that the address has updated. All right. And now if we wanted to delete a study, let's choose the co-op because there's no studies at this one. All right, let's go ahead and delete a study. We'll get a drop down presenting all of the studies there. We can just choose any one. All right, if we delete Darshan from the database, if we go back and look at the studies at that site, we'll notice the one with emojis is gone. And so that's just how some of the administrative actions. And now we will demonstrate that that site we created does have that proper layout. So we'll have to conduct a new study to do this. Yep, and so we'll select the site we created. Yeah, let's do 1 hour intervals just to make it look easy. Then we can do any study name for this. Okay, so now that we've created the site with different values for the sections, we're going to create a study of that site and show that it does display it properly. And as you can see, we have a variable number of spots in each section.
Thank you for watching.